Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fanshawe College Virtual Open House. My name is Jay Park, and I work in International Center of Fanshawe College. I will be the host for today's season. Before we begin today's season, I would like to review a few housekeeping items. Audience, welcome. Our webcams and mics are turned off for this season. If you have any question throughout this season, please submit it with the question box. To open the question box, click on the question mark. Following the season, we will have a live Q&A from the question submit. We will try our best to get through all of your submit questions within this season time. If you have any question after the season, we recommend you email international@fanshawe.ca or book appointments with one of our Fanshawe College recruiter. If you have multiple programs open and running, it may compromise your webinar experience. We recommend you take a moment now to close any open programs before we begin today's season. I would like to introduce today's speaker, Rob and Alex, who will be speaking about two-year diploma animation program at Fanshawe College. Welcome, Alex and Rob. We have a couple of interview questions for you today, so let's jump right now.
Sorry, guys, I was on mute. Thanks so much, Jay, for having us. I want to welcome everybody, no matter what time zone you're in. I'm sure some of you are here and it might be close to the middle of the night, so thank you so much for joining us. So Rob, I guess right now, let's just talk a little bit about the program. So what can students expect? What happens in animation's two-year diploma, that sort of thing.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Jay and Alex, thank you. So we have launched our brand new two-year diploma in animation. So that just recently started. We're halfway through our first term. So it is 4 terms of study. First and foremost, so anyone who is interested in this, our goal is to graduate animators. Sounds obvious, but we're going to talk about this, Alex, what makes for a good candidate, the things that you can do leading up to the start of this program should you be one of the people that applies and gets accepted to the program. But of course, everything that we are doing in this program is designed to get people ready for a career working as an animator. So we've got 4 terms of study, and also if you need to see the specific courses, if you go to the Fanshawe site and under search, just type in animation, you'll go to our webpage for animation, and there you'll be able to see all the courses broken down term by term. One thing too, I'm going to stress this a lot, is that any student coming in, you know, there are lots of programs in Ontario. We're very blessed with having a lot of creative arts programs. There's a lot of choice. One of the biggest things that students need to do is research coming in. So as we're talking about specifics in the program, take a look at the courses online. If you have any questions, my email will be posted at the end. Feel free to email me, but ask your questions here, do your research, email me afterwards. And as we go through, we'll talk about more and more of the specifics in the program.
Excellent. Now, I guess one thing I do want to kind of ask you is, how arts-based is it and how technical is it? Is there an even split, that sort of thing?
You know what, it's the great thing about these programs like animation, and I also coordinate video game here at Fanshawe as well, and I tell those students the same thing. It's the perfect hybrid between tech and creativity. So you need to be both, okay? So one thing students ask is, what kind of package do I need coming in? So let's say I'm coming from high school and you know, this is my last year perhaps, and I'm considering animation for next year? What are the courses that I should be taking? So technology courses, anything and everything. So even if you can take a programming course, a digital video class, a Photoshop class, a coding class, anything in communication tech is perfect, because that sort of immerses you in the digital creative side of things. So being really, really comfortable working with a lot of different applications, like some 3D or Photoshop graphics, all of that is really good. But drawing is a component in animation. It's very significant, being an animator, being able to do life drawing. So if you're a person coming in from high school again, fine arts is really important. Even sculpting, working with your hands and sculpting, because one of the big courses in animation is digital sculpting in ZBrush, which is our application that we use. So it's this great hybrid, and you know, there's different types of students that come in. Some are very technical, they're really good on the computer, they work really well with applications, haven't had a lot of art. Then there's the flip side. There's students who love art, grew up doing drawing and sketching and sculpture and everything to do with art, and you know, they haven't done a whole lot of technical applications. So that's okay. You just need to kind of address what situation you're in, because you've got a lot of time between now and the start of the program. And I'm also going to note, as far as you know, backgrounds and you know, training that students have had, that as soon as I get all the applicants who are confirmed for the program, we start a Facebook page. We get everyone to join, and there we start passing out all the information that students need. So as far as getting hardware and software, everything ready, and we do that in the spring. So students already by, you know, in the summer, have everything that they need to ready for September. Plus, we start posting homework. Now, this homework obviously isn't mandatory, but students like to get ahead and start working. So all the software is free. There's thousands of free tutorials online. You don't need to buy anything. So you can be doing a little bit every week. So if you're one of those people who haven't had as much art as other people, that's a great. You've got the whole summer to start doing a little bit of drawing and things. Other people who aren't as tech savvy can download a free 3D animation software program and start doing some tutorials, just basic stuff. And that way you'll find that when you show up in September, everyone's kind of on the same platform, right? So there's a lot of things we can do.
Amazing. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, careers and companies that our grads might be getting into. I know that there's a difference between 2D animation and 3D animation. So what skill set are students walking out with, and where do they typically get jobs?
Okay, so two questions. First question is very important, that I'm going to address. Now, 2D versus 3D animation. There are many films, of course, that everyone grew up watching. Back in the early days of Disney, of course, they were 2D. They were all hand-drawn. These days, there's still quite a bit of 2D, but of course, the majority of 3D or animation is happening as 3D. So as a 2-year program, we had to figure out what our program was going to be. Who are we going to graduate to work in the industry? And if you go back to our website for animation and you look through the courses, in first term, you will see only one course dedicated to 2D animation. So one notable thing after running half of our first term right now, as far as feedback, some students thought that there was more 2D than there actually is. So anyone that's watching right now, by far the majority of the skill set in this program is 3D, okay? If you wanted to be very good at 2D and 3D, you would need to go take a 4-year program. Okay, so that commitment financially and, you know, as far as being in school is much more significant if you're trying to do everything. We're not. So we have one course in our first term that's 2D, that's mixed in with all the other courses, and then essentially after that everything is going to be 3D. So that is a very, very big defining point in our program. We figured we've only got 2 years. We can't do everything well. And so what we are going to do, we are going to graduate students specifically for 3D and have them have a great portfolio that they can showcase to HR at companies and things. So second point is companies. So as I built the video game program, we've got a lot of companies that are involved with our program, and those companies are going to be involved with the animation program as well, obviously just dealing with the animation side of things. So companies that we deal with regularly and who we consider friends to our program are companies like Ubisoft out of Toronto, Digital Extremes in London, Big Viking Games, Big Blue Bubble, Tiny Titan Games, and there's also other smaller game companies, indie game companies that participate. So one question might be students asking about co-ops and what that experience is in the program. Do you have a co-op? And that's a really good question. Even with our 3D video game program, we do not have co-ops. Animation follows the same sort of pattern. And the reason is that we found that, first of all, these companies are creating highly secretive work. Like, I've got friends who work in the industry and they can't tell me what projects they're working on until they are released. So you know what, you can't just take anyone and place them into a company under a co-op and have them do anything valuable, because really they can't be there. And you know, there's a lot of secrecy and there's a lot of money behind these projects. So what we did was, instead of trying to get students out to the companies for a co-op, we bring the companies into our classrooms. They participate in our curriculum. We have big end of the year events where all these companies come in and guest judge the projects. Now, we haven't gone through a full graduating class yet for animation, but as the same in video game, we have a huge end of the year graduating student exhibition showcase. We had 25 industry people come in and judge, and we're going to be doing the same thing for the animation students. And to wrap up, in our second year, it is all about making animated films. So not only are students going to graduate with a portfolio of their own work, they're also going to be working in teams with real clients creating animated films. So that experience is going to be as close to the industry experience as we can possibly make it.
Amazing. So I'll encourage people to start putting questions into the question box if they have some right now. But I do want to ask, you know, what do you think surprises students the most in their first semester? And then, you know, maybe what's going to surprise them the most at the end of their program, because it's a learning opportunity. Go ahead.
You know, it is a good question. And what surprises students the most? The amount of work. Okay. So when you apply to the program, and then I see you at the beginning of September, and we do an orientation to the new year, and you get to meet all the professors, and I'll do a talk about, you know, the things that you need to have and buy and get ready and everything that you need as a student. I'll talk to you about probably the most important aspect of your first year, and that's not talent. That's not making a great portfolio. It is time management. Okay. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, whether it's high school or you've come from another college or university program, or you've been out working for a while. One thing that I can guarantee you is you're not ready for the workload here. Okay. That sounds a little bit scary, but I need to tell students that in order for them to sober up and make sure that they're doing all of their work and they're, you know, following along week by week. So the curriculum is designed for people who are coming in. We start at ground zero. Even though we hopefully do stuff over the summer to get you ready, everyone in September starts at ground zero and we build forward week by week. So if you complete week one's tasks, you're ready for week two. Then we teach you new content, you work forward, and that's how we do it. But there's a lot of work to do every week. We've only got you for 2 years, and we need to get you industry ready. So one of the biggest surprises is the amount of work that students are doing. You're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do it. You know, I'm not good enough, whatever. And then the biggest surprise on the flip side is when we see students in their graduating years, they're like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm really good. You know, I can do everything and I've got a great portfolio. So all of a sudden they've built this great confidence, and that is through all the hard work that they do. So, you know, first year is about finding your footing, getting your work done, time management. Second year is going to be about, you know, you as an artist developing a great portfolio, working with clients, getting industry experience, and then prepping yourself to go out into the world as an animator.
Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna ask, just because we're talking about, hard work, it's a lot. I would like to talk about the faculty. So you're a coordinator for animation, but then we also have our faculty. So, and how the faculty support and their connections to the industry, and why animation at Fanshawe is such a great program because of the people who teach it.
Absolutely. So most, if not all of these people teach in my video game program as well. I have
Mhm.
to say that students coming into this program are incredibly lucky to have them, because these people have got 20 years plus experience in the digital creative industry. So some are dedicated animators, some have a wide range of experience from modeling, texturing, animating, all sorts of digital design. But you know what, I could name drop and I could tell you the films that they work on, and I won't do that right now. But you know, they're all Hollywood type films, and their experience is incredible. So students being able to learn directly from people who have left a job, left sort of a project that they're working on, to come into class to teach that. It can't get any more fresh than that. All of our professors, like I said, are in the industry right now. They currently work on the side in the industry on projects every day. And so, you know what, they know exactly what is going on. And we bring all of that into this program as far as tips and tricks and techniques, the technology that we're using. I'll just mention two that is very sophisticated type of work. For example, we have a beautiful 24 camera motion capture system. We just bought a very high-end faceware facial capture system that students are going to be using. So all of this, you know, as far as the instructors and the technology, is really, really high end.
Amazing. Amazing. All right, so before I turn it over to questions from our audience, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to a student entering the animation program?
Okay, I touched on this at the beginning. For any student in any program, we're talking about animation, of course. Your work is to do the research, okay? You need to find a program which fits you individually. And so being here and listening to us and perhaps asking some questions now or after through email is an incredibly important thing to do. This is your time. This is your money that you are investing. You need to find the right program for you. So I say that because in our program this fall just started, there were probably a few people that were like, you know what, I didn't realize. You know, a few of our students, like, you did so much of this one thing in this program. And it's a little bit tough for me because my first question is, did you do any research before you came here? So number one thing is you look at our website, you look at our courses, you come to open house, you get our email, you email the questions, anything that you need. That's why we're here. Any type of questions, how many questions you've got, it doesn't matter, just ask them. So become informed, and know that London is a great place. Fanshawe College is an awesome school. There's a lot of benefits to going to school here as opposed to, say, in the GTA in Toronto. You know, we've got an awesome digital creative cluster here with like game companies who are all, you know, hiring animators and things like that. So doing your research, understanding what the program is, and then once you've done that and you sign up for a program, remember that it doesn't stop there. You've got the entire spring and summer where you need to get prepped and ready. You need to have your computer ready to go. You have to ask yourself, do I have a fast enough computer? Does it have the right components in it? Do I have the right software installed? Am I ready to go? Then, you know what, can I start working on some things? Can I do a bit of drawing? Can I download a 3D animation program? Can I start doing some tutorials? It's all free. So by the time you show up in September, man, you should be like focused and ready to go on your career.
Amazing. And that is, so September is the only intake. There is no winter intake.
There's no winter intake at this point, so September is our startup goal. And as far as there may be some students asking about, you know, COVID and things like that. So right now we are completely online and it's going great. So we teach our classes just like this. I see like 40 students in my class, all these faces. And I have to say that, you know, one positive, if you want to talk about positives out of this whole pandemic situation, is that I think students have a lot more access to their professors than they ever have before, because we'll teach a class, we'll post all our content online at the beginning of the week as far as like video tutorials. Students watch them and then they show up for my class live at the end of the week. So they get me, you know, for pre-recorded sessions and then live. And that's really double the amount of time that I normally would be spending with them in a face-to-face. Now, that being said, we hope to go back face to face. It's not going to happen in the winter. Winter for our program this year is still going to be online. We know vaccines are coming out and we hope that we're going to get back face to face for next September. Fingers crossed.
Excellent. Well, Rob, thanks for chatting with me. I am going to hand it over to Jay, who's over here on my screen. And we'll open the floor to any questions that you guys have for Rob, but we're always here at the international@fanshawe.ca email. So take it away,
So
Jay.
yeah, all right, thanks so much. It was great, Q&A session. And before I'm going to ask a few questions, I would like to explain about our process for our international students who attend the animation online season, virtual season today. So technically, we don't have enough seat, and also many students couldn't start the animation program in September 2020 intake because they couldn't get a study permit. So they already deferred to September 2021 intake. It means we have a less seat for September 2021 intake. So if you really wanted to study our animation program, I really recommend you to apply as soon as possible. And also you have to prepare for applying study permit because it has been taking a long time. It usually takes 5 to 6 months right now. So please apply Fanshawe and apply your study permit as soon as possible. Then you have a chance to start animation program in September 2021. Okay, so I have a few questions. We have only 6 minutes left, but I'm wondering student wants to have specific laptop if they wanted to study a 2-year diploma animation program.
You know, that's a very good question. We are using all of the state-of-the-art software that you would expect to use as an animator in the industry. So programs like Autodesk, Maya, we're using Unreal Engine for our game engine. We are using ZBrush digital sculpting application. We use Adobe Photoshop. So one thing, I guess a question that comes up too is my computer good enough? And if I need to buy another one, what should I get? So what I recommend is at the end, you make sure you have my email address, because this really ties back to how much money you want to spend. So number one thing is you check the computer that you've got always, because we don't want to have students just run out and spend money unnecessarily if their computer is good enough. So you have to check what you've got as far as RAM and processor and graphics card. Also too, if you find that, you know what, I've got a computer, it's 4 or 5 years old, at that point, you're at the tipping point now about whether it can run the software properly, and you might need to buy a new one. So that's a longer discussion, because what you should be thinking about is how much money do I have to spend? Okay, so always ask your questions first, grab my email, and I'd be happy to discuss it through Zoom or through email as far as the technical things about your computer.
All right, that's a great answer. And also, what kind of laptops or equipment are we using in a class compared to other Ontario schools? Are we using better softwares or equipment?
Okay, good question. Um, Now, when we are, okay, so in the online environment, all the students are using computers at home. They're using their own uh, equipment. But when it comes back to in class, I have to say that Fanshawe College is extraordinary in their support of the facilities. I mentioned we purchased a very high-end motion capture studio that students use on a regular basis, a facial capture system, very high-end, very expensive. That's for the students as well. The labs are incredibly equipped with 24-inch Cintiqs, and those are the digital drawing stations, not tablets, but the stations. And we've got 6 labs full of 40 each per lab. So we've got hundreds of these stations, very expensive. So the equipment that you're using in class is extraordinary. Like the PCs and the monitors and the Cintiqs, it's quite an experience. Students, once they get used to it, are like, I never want to leave this place because the equipment is so good. So you're working at a very high level. I mentioned the software that we're using is industry standard software. So what you're doing in the class, when you graduate, you'll just transfer those skills directly into the studio because they're using the same equipment and the same software.
All right, sounds good. And also, I believe everyone's know most international students, they really like to get a full-time job after they finish their program at Fanshawe College. So would you please tell them what is the average salary after they finish the animation program?
Average salary. Well, okay, now remember, anyone who graduates from a program like this starts off as a junior artist. So you know what? Good questions about average salary. Probably around $50,000, I would think. Okay.
Wow.
And that's on the lower end. Now, the nice thing about working in this industry is after a couple of years, your experience means everything. So once you've got a couple of years of experience, you're going to start jumping significantly. You're going to be working on bigger projects. You're going to be working and making considerably more money. And you'll start moving up the ladder as far as a junior animator to a senior, and that's just the way it works. But the nice thing in our industry is that it happens very quickly. So a little bit of experience goes a long way as far as salary and the types of jobs that you're going to be doing.
Okay, all right, sounds good. And last question. Okay, 1 minute left. So after having COVID-19 pandemic, I believe most people are watching movies or animations or playing game. I'm also watching a lot of animations and movies every day, more than before having COVID-19. So do you think animation industry will have more job opportunity during and after COVID-19?
Well, I think that one important thing that is happening in this industry that we didn't sort of realize or recognize. I mean, this is the first time we've ever gone through something like this. And you know, I've been talking to all of the companies, game companies, animation studios, and one really important thing that's happened is that during COVID, they have never been busier than they are right now. Right. So people are always saying, well, you know, what's going to happen? Are they hiring less? The opposite has happened. Um, I was just talking to friends at Ubisoft and HR, and they were saying, you know what, we've never hired more people than this past year, including COVID. And the reason is people are working for us all around the world. They don't need to come to Toronto. Just like you, Jay, in a different country, you know what? And they also said too that about 90% of their employees in Toronto, their studios, about 1,000 people, they're all working at home. And you know what? Production didn't stop. In fact, they're busier than they ever have been. They've hired more people now than they ever have. So you know what? I think the future is going to be a hybrid because there's always going to be people that want to work at home. and there's always going to be people who want to work in the studio. And I think it's going to be the best of all worlds. So we're going to start seeing a new world, but all I can tell you is it hasn't made the digital industry skip a beat at all. Everyone has adapted, and they were really the first ones to adapt very, very quickly.
All right. Thank you so much. So I think we have now reached the end of our season. And thanks to all students who submitted the question today. We hope that we answer all of your questions in regarding the animation program. If you think of any more questions, feel free to contact Fanshawe International Center. And we also have a recruitment team. So I can share the email address. If you have any question, please send us email international@fanshawe.ca. And also you can make appointments. Please go through fanshawecollege.s.me. Then you will choose your country recruiter. Then we are happy to have meeting with you. So thanks, Alex and Rob.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And I really appreciate your time for international students. Thank you so much.
See you. Take care.
Bye-bye.